Well, what's going on, guys? Happy 4th of July. It's 2021. It is 12:42 p.m. Countdown continues until the evening hours. And I've been watching History Channel trying to understand and recapture what it is to be a quote-unquote American. Now, I know the other videos were depressing as hell because I went to the darker, seedier side of things. People are supposed to be going into the brighter side of life in order to celebrate. And why didn't I? When I am full of too much reality as it is, I don't engage in that kind of fantasy level unless there's a bit of escapism in this certain situation there. And unfortunately, what we're dealing with is pretty much lacking in anything else but escapism. The reality check of our life right now is we're split apart. We try to hold on to our Americana as much as we can, the things that we believe, the symbolisms as we have, to make us feel part of something that we're supposed to be part of, but in good conscience, we found out we're totally screwed up in the head and we don't even realize it. The Americana I've picked out to celebrate July 4th is my Dodger shirt. It's just a standard one, not the World Championship like everyone else would be buying, the World Series. No, just a standard one. Because I can wear this at any game, at any time. Even at championship games. And to me, this is a piece of Americana because baseball to me is Americana. It is just as American, but the problem is, knowing the history of baseball and how prejudicial it was back then compared to what it is now, these days I could try wearing it because of some of the changes we tried to make. And if we try to be that much ahead of the game, so to speak, then it is something I will wear with pride. But when it comes down for the red, white, and blue, that's a different story altogether. The red, white, and blue has been tainted a great deal with our own stereotypes, our negativity, our segregationist, our divisiveness, our derisions left and right that, to me, it almost feels impossible to celebrate it even with veterans or with anybody else for that matter. And why I went crazy over such situations like this because having that, having a symbolism, we are trying to strive for something pure and noble, and the problem is I have to strive for something realistic at this point. What can be achievable in a lifetime, what can't be, and what takes a step and what doesn't take a step, especially with the attitudes that we keep fighting it like crazy. And either we go for the impossible jobs or we don't. And the impossible jobs that we're doing right now is looking ourselves in the mirror and saying that we're not worthy of anything. We're not worthy of wearing the red, white, and blue, even though we keep saying that we are. That we're not holy, we're not righteous, we're not this, we're not that. We're not at a level that we think we should be at. Because quite frankly, no one can be. Despite the fact we've got massive egos happening left and right, we keep saying that we are worthy of anything and everything. And the problem is, we've shown that we haven't been. I'm going to show you my backside for a short time while I dig something down. While the video's going on, because usually people would hit the pause button. So I'm going to do that just to get this thing untangled. I was making a mention somewhere that I wish I could feel the Americana, the American spirit. And the thing of it is, I just can't. The American spirit right now is a little bit indisposed, isn't it? We just don't understand what the hell we're doing to ourselves anymore. So, and if we don't understand it, how can we comprehend it? How can we look ourselves in the mirror and know that what we're celebrating is supposed to be an ideal that we're still having issues with, more than one way or another? 2 pins I'm putting on. And the rest of it is just Americana stuff, but to me, as I said before, baseball is American as American can get, like apple pie and Boston clam chowder. Clam chowder I'm not liking because I don't like clams. I don't never like fish. But I do like a good bit of bean stew or a good pot roast. But for these, suffice it to say that they're going to be the representation of what it is for me to be American, because this is America. This is America. Not the collection of pins, but the idealism that we put behind certain things. Including, let me get this damn thing to work right here, what it is to be and what it is not to be American. And what is it to be American? We've had our darker sides that sometimes people have a problem dealing with. We've thrown up a hell of a lot of detours because we just don't want to see any of it, and we want to hide from it. We do. We want to hide from ourselves in the biggest way possible because we can't deal with ourselves in the mirror. We can't deal with the darker natures. That's why I went off. Our darker natures are refusing to look at patriotism. Patriotism only goes so far unless you're understanding and willing to understand what something like this would represent and what it means. But not many people do, except the dead. And even then they can't comprehend what the hell's going on with the living because the living is still screwing itself up left and right. So therefore, I have issues. I have major issues with this. I have so many major issues with this, it's not even funny. We get memorabilias to remember certain dates because we want to remember fondly. We want to remember things that makes us what we think should be making us. Our own damn actions, our own screwed up ideas are screwing us over one way or another. And we're not even seeing this left and right, but we think we do. We think we understand. We think we cope, and then we think we learn, and we scream and argue with each other. How come you're not following our pattern? How come you're not following USA? That you're not being part of USA. That you're not part of Beantown. That you're not part of baseball. That you're not. Well, I grew up in Dodgertown. The Dodgers were my life. The Dodgers were transplants. They came over from Brooklyn. So basically they're Brooklyn bums. And we got more reincarnation of Brooklyn bums over here, but they're no longer Brooklyn bums. They're from all over that we draft into the Brooklyn bums. See, them bums came from New York. The New Yorkers. Deal with that one. They're not, hey dude from California. No, they're not. But what they are is they're Americans. Oh. Most part, when we get some transplants over here from different countries, it's a different story altogether. The Dodgers are the Dodgers, and that's what they are. For me, it's still baseball. And at one time, it was segregationist. We even segregated men from the women. We actually had women's baseball. World War II, when all the guys were out playing with guns and everything else, playing shit, dying for everything else. The women over here are busting their asses off left and right. But they also played their asses off left and right. If you want to see a little bit of a fictionalized story, but still maintaining elements of truth to it, Gina Davis, Tom Hanks, and a full star of... Wow, okay, that happened. And they played baseball. A League of Their Own, the movie was called. Based upon some factual information and fictionalized drama, but still, they were talking about all-American baseball in the form of women maintaining that American tradition. And unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond their control, including television happening, they disappeared into the history books until several decades later they have, finally in Coopertown, a place to honor them. And for that, even the American Negro Leagues are having time trying to get into the American Baseball Museum. And I hope they do. And if we do have a mention in there, cool. Because there's also part of the Americana. They're also part of the American dream. Because they made their shot. They made their stand. They made their debut. And we have them in our leagues all over. And it's not just one or two races. We're talking people who play baseball. Not football of tossing a thing around. The pigskin. I'm talking about hurtling a ball down a few yards to a plate at rocket speed just to get a strikeout. And I remember going to baseball games to the Dodger Stadium a few times in my life, and several more to minor league baseball games, until one of them shut out. Closed up because of Major League Baseball commissioner decided to close down half the minor league teams. Bastard. We lost our Lancaster Jethawks that way. And they were the noblest team I've ever had. More nobler than the Dodgers. But even that, I still don't knock against baseball. To me, that's what makes America great, is baseball. Because it doesn't believe in politics. It doesn't believe in he said, she said. It believes in the game. It believes on the field. That on the field, this is where life happens. Even though you've got a diamond. 3/4 of the diamond are plates. And the bottom one is the home plate. And right in the middle is the pitchers trying to get people out left or right. And you've got several people in the back trying to catch it and toss the ball so they can nail the batter out. 9 innings. 3 outs. And it's exciting. It's diplomacy of the bat. The skill of the batter. And the arm of the pitcher. To me, that is Americana. That is American. Only I kept thinking, Apple pie is not American, it's German. Basically, what it is, what we're dealing with here, pardon me for a second, is we're dealing with European culture that we have inherited in our life. And the culture is this. What we've learned from our grandparents and our great grandparents is what we transfer over to what is American. What we think and feel is American. Give me one second. What is American is how we treat each other fairly. You'll forgive me, but I got some stuff to pick up. I'm trying to kill myself here trying to pick these things up. I'll put these back in my pocket. We are descendants of other nations, trying to blend into one country that's supposed to be believing in freedom, liberty, justice, fair play. And if we can't have all of that, then what do we have? What do we have? What we have is kindergarten tactics left and right, because we think that everything should be fair, but it isn't. So we have to deal and cope with it. And because we're dealing and coping with it in the only way that we have, sometimes we have to take these shirts off and deal with the underlying message that despite the fact on the overcoat or the shirts that we wear that they are theoretically Americana, and this is what we should be wearing all the time, the underneath of it is we have our own viewpoints, our own value systems. Everything that we hold dear is more important than the outer shell, because it is the inner side that drives us to make sure that the outer shell is intact and presentable to people. You want to show how much we are Americans? Act it. Not react, act. You want to show that you are a compassionate country? Act it. You want to show that you're in for fair play? Act it. That you want freedom of speech, you want your liberty, you want to celebrate it? Act it. But here's the thing. You don't hold everybody else hostage or terrorize them with tyranny. It's usually a majority at this point, not the minority that's supposed to be having control, and yet the minority wants it all. Doesn't work that way. Even in a game of baseball, it doesn't work that way. But unfortunately, some people are changing the rules of the game left and right. We want to look at America with our own unique eyesights, our own viewpoints. Some are common enough for others that we can share. But when you have a complete gathering and they're going to say, this small amount is going to control the country because we say so, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. But unfortunately, some people think it does work. But they still want to call it democracy. They wouldn't know what democracy was unless it jumped up and bit them in the ass. Yes, we want fair play, but we also want discussions with what's going on. And to think of it, that majority rules. Not mob rule, though. No one thinks they're that heated and passionate at this point over here. What we say goes. And we're going to be trampling everybody else. We're still doing the us versus them. We're supposed to be coming together with our ideas and our dreams and trying to find ways to find common ground. The problem is we haven't. We have found ways to make war zone with our own values, our own culture, our own identity, our own history. America, as one particular newsmaker and a couple of other authors have pointed out, We have brought ourselves to the 1850s, and the 1860s were the culmination of it. I said 18. I didn't say 19. I said 18, as in the point of coming close to civil war. And then the 1860s happened, and then we did have our Civil War. But we never did conclude it because we kept continuing it. We kept up with the anger and hatred at this point over here. We acknowledged the damn thing happened, but we never did reconcile it with ourselves. We didn't want to reconcile it with ourselves. We wanted to continue it. We wanted to continue to fight. Why? Because we wanted to continue to fight. Why? Because we wanted to continue to fight. And the argument goes on and on and on. All throughout the ages, all throughout the decades, until we're here, right now, 2021, and the argument still has not been resolved. Because we have not resolved it with our own generations. I put that as a plural. We have not resolved that in our hearts and our minds or anything else, not even in our teachings. We have exasperated the damn thing for a long while now. So either we're going to be finding a way of fracturing the United States into conglomerate states, or we're going to be trying to work on the idea that we need to be United States, but then whose version of it is going to be? And that's the fight, isn't it? The fight between one group of people versus another group of people who think they know better than we. And we don't know each other. We don't know anything, do we? But we claim we do. We claim we do. We think we know better. And if we don't know better, well, then we're screwed, aren't we? And that's what drives me crazy sometimes. We think we know. And we look at ourselves and we honestly do not know ourselves that much. Yes, I was pissed off at people. Yes, I admit that. And sometimes I have to be nice and polite about it because there are certain rules and regulations and certain things of fair play that you don't cross over. But in certain circumstances, toe-to-toe to the line, you just have to make sure that you don't cross it. Because it's not no man's land either. We're a country is supposed to be of rules and regulations and of laws that are supposed to be just. And yet there are laws out there that are unjust. And there should be reconciliations. There should be people arguing about it. There should be people changing it. But when you have the will of the minority trying to change things for the majority and claiming it's for the good of them, doesn't work that way. Where's the consent? There was no consent. People just blindly looked at the damn thing like sheep. And for the ones who are raising the holy hell about the damn thing, I'm sorry, they're Liberty Karens. They're denigrated, they're desecrated. Now they're jumped upon left and right. So at this point, it seems we are becoming less of a democratic country and we're becoming more and more of an autocratic, an autonomous, where we're going to have other countries going to be running us and we don't even realize it. We believe in a big lie that there's going to be another presidential change happening this August when there isn't going to be. Unless, of course, we're going to have another violent overthrow and another insurrection being planned out that we don't know of. So yeah, a lot of things I have said in the previous video that does not make me celebrate America as much as I should. Because I am not holding up sparklers, I am not throwing up fireworks in the air, I'm not trying to burn down my buildings because I feel like it, because I'm an idiot. But I'm also not wearing the red, white, and blue at this point because I'm also not feeling like I'm an idiot. And a long time before I got to this particular stage of my life, I was one of them. Looking at life like that and feeling how great it is to be an American. Well, during those times it may have been different, but right now it isn't. And this time, When I think back of one particular athlete before she left the States, turned her back on the national anthem, I guess that was a slap in the face to a lot of patriotic Americans, because if you're going to be patriotic in every way, shape, or form, you're going to be on the Olympic team, you have to be pro-American every which way but loose. You have to be fanatical. You have to be dealing with fanaticism on the patriotic level and being patriotic fanatical. You have to deal with it as a religion because everything revolves around it. No wonder people are so screwed up. I said it. I'm not holding back. Besides, that particular athlete also had to deal with the loss of humanity. When you lose family members, it does affect an athlete. It does affect a human being. Unless, of course, you're purposely fanatical, then you're hearkening back to 1930s, aren't you? Do I need to repeat that again? Do I need to repeat being fanatical concerning about your country, your beliefs in the country, your own beliefs being the most fanatical situation, to the point where you're going to be joining groups that doesn't recognize the United States Constitution, the one that you were born under. Well, I'm sorry, maybe some of you weren't born under it. Maybe you just got transplanted over here, didn't like America, and now you're bad-mouthing it. Maybe that's it. No, I'll take it back. I'm talking about the people who have been hatched over here in hatcheries. They haven't been born. They were hatched. They're changelings. I can make standardized jokes concerning about our own patriotism and our own people over here, but that's not going to help much, is it? No, I'm not feeling very much part of the American patriotism or of the beliefs or anything else. And when I start reading posts concerning about veterans being treated higher than victims of crime, one particular posting I came across is somebody was saying a long while ago from Memorial Day that it was wrong to memorialize a guy who's got a field record of criminal activity, but he gets murdered and people are making him a martyr, and that's wrong because we should make our soldiers a martyr over this guy. He's a criminal. He's a bad guy. He was a human being that got murdered. His name is George Floyd. Use it. And what's the difference between them and the United States soldier? The United States soldier volunteered because at this point we have an all-volunteer military force. We haven't got into the forced draft situation yet. Not like back in the late 60s anyway. We haven't issued any draft cards either. I'm too damn old and too damn lame to go into the draft, but they'll draft my ass anyway. Why? Why not? Fight for the country, fight for the state, fight for Emperor Nero. Because the Huns are at the gate. Oh, no, no. We got to hold the Roman soldiers more in prestige because they are our army to our Roman city. The only problem is the Roman army was also consigned. They were not draft dodgers, they were forced. They were shanghaied, press ganged, thrown into them, told them to train or die. And they became the legionnaires, and they became the Roman soldiers who fight other countries so we can draft them and put them into the army, and then that's about it. The United States of America, you volunteer because you make the decision. You put your John Hancock on the damn paperwork. You put your X on there. You sign your life away, basically your soul. You sign it over to Uncle Sam and then watch Uncle Sam determine whether or not if you're going to live or die, or whether or not you're going to be part of the country or not, depending upon your immigration status. And if you're a bad immigration person here, then you're not welcome to be part of the army or the military, are you? Out you go. But we're supposed to hold them up with high esteem at this point. Because we only hold it to people with the highest esteem going into the military. Because we want the cream of the crop. And if not, you go into the U.S. Army and train your ass off. Or maybe if you're better than that, you go into the Marine Corps. Or if you think you're flying higher in the clouds, you go into the Air Force. And if you're really a water lover, you go into the Navy, or the Coasties. Now you got the Space Force, which is the political garbage. Go figure. But either way, you're supposed to be held in high exam and regards, except when the Roman legion is sent out to destroy other places. You do it for king, you do it for country, you do it for. Because you volunteered to get trained to pull the trigger. Or you already had training to pull the trigger and you're still itching to shoot people. And really take pieces out of your soul. But this is what happens. You're going to fight for a noble cause, or you're going to be fighting for something less than a noble cause. You're going to be fighting for the altruistic level. You're going to be fighting for humanity at this point over here. You're going to be doing something like from the movies of Independence Day. Or are you going to be fighting because you were forced to fight? Or are you doing it just because you need a career or something? And why do I say such things like this? Because I have to look at things in a different perspective than everybody else. Yeah, I'm sarcastic, cynical, a bit of a pain in the ass at this point. I'm trying to keep the language down to a bare minimum at this fucking point. But no fucking guarantee I'm going to continue that method of madness. It's like there's no guarantee there's going to be any sleep tonight all the way through Monday morning. Because people are going to be still hot and stupid and drunk as hell and still firing off the damn fireworks. And not realizing that sometimes their fireworks are going to be the causes of their own damn destruction while homes are getting burned down left and right. Why do we know this? Because we're too stupid to realize that history repeats itself. They think they're going to be careful enough? Are soldiers that nobler? Nope. Soldiers are not noble. They're volunteer, but they dare to do a job, at least for the most part anyway, or for a career to do something, and that's also noble, I think. Used to be a time when the prisoners were given a choice a long time ago, military or prison. Some joined the service. If they can get out of shit, and they've discovered that they made the worst choice of ever. When the war comes up, they're the first ones going in. And watch they become the saviors of everybody. So what gets to me at this point is when the common foot soldier, whose job it is to murder people left and right, while defending a country's right, honor, freedom, and the elitism, but not to mention their own homeland and the ideal that the homeland was created out of, or vice versa. That they have to be the ones bearing the brunt of it. You had to have a purpose, you had to have a motivation, you had to have something that drives you to pick up the gun, to point it at another human being, and then shoot him. And then you got to live the consequences afterwards. I know, because I've seen the after effects of it. My own brother was in the military, and he had to deal with the after effects of it. And it's the family members that have to deal with the brunt of the damn thing, especially when we're caregivers for it. So yeah, I have a hell of a lot of respect for those guys going in there and coming back out as a meat shop. And some of them actually do survive long enough without popping themselves. And my brother came damned close to doing that himself, and he didn't, thank God. So yeah, I know the lighter and darker side concerning about wearing the uniform of a country, trying to serve a nobler cause and to serve a nobler screwed up government of people who can't make up their minds one way or another. So if you think I'm bad mouthing the country right now, wait. If you think I should be leaving the country here, oh gee, well, let's see. No, not really. Because under the First Amendment, I can say this kind of stuff at this point over here. But then again, I'd be the one attracting attention from all those damn nut jobs out there who go against the government and says, he's our boy. The only thing I gotta say is, we fight only if we have to fight, my belief. We fight when we have no choice. We fight when we're attacked. We don't negotiate. We go out and kick the shit out of them. Well, what drove me crazy is 20 years and we're still stuck in a damn country. Now we're getting the hell out of there. We've already about one or two generations already went through the meat grinder already. Maybe three. So we've had at least one or two generations growing up, seeing war in action. The country was never at peace at one time for some of these generations. They've seen death, sometimes too damn close. This is America right now. This is the America for the 21st century. And also for the 20th century. And the 19th and the 18th century. Each generation has never seen peace. Have never seen peace in their lifetime long enough. Because we've always had to have something to piss us off enough. And therefore, we got to shed blood again. And it's a damn fucking shame, too. It's a real damn shame because this has to be accepted. If you're going to be living in a country like this and you want to enjoy every freedom and liberty, there's got to be some sacrifices too. There has to be. It's not living here for granted. You got to pay. And you got to pay. And then you got to pay. And I'm not talking about every damn red cent out of your pocket. You give everything you can for this country. You give everything you can for the cause, for the history, for everything else that belongs to it. You got to give everything you can except your soul to Caesar. If you still have your religious beliefs, that goes in another department. But your political and everything else goes to Caesar, and Caesar is the government. And for this part, it's the United States of America. We're supposed to be the freest, and yet we have our freedoms curtailed because people allowed it to be such. They have voted in their politicians that are taking away the freedom to keep the other freedoms and grants and gifts for themselves, while everything else gets buried alive. And the people smile and cheer and laugh about it. You want to know why I'm not celebrating America? Because we have no fucking idea who and what America is anymore. We can see all the damn History Channel shows and see all the damn television productions. We can read up on the information in the books and see our darker natures. Or we could look at themselves in the mirror and see this happening in real time. And either we're sick to death about it, or we're blind as hell. And we're mute because we can't hear the truth. And we got duct tape on our damn mouths because we can't speak the damn truth. So, what is America? You tell me. You tell me in the damn comments. You tell me what you think America is supposed to be. And I probably tell you, you're wrong. because no one has the absolute definition, because there isn't supposed to be an absolute definition to what this country is supposed to mean and what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be a country undergoing changes. Well, sometimes those changes are mutating. And right now, I don't like the mutation. So I don't have to celebrate what the mutation is right now. And right now, it's ugly because it has separated us, it has cleaved us, it has carved us up. And I'm supposed to celebrate the red, white, and blue? I mourn the dead. I should be wearing a black band on my arm mourning the dead because they had a better idea of what America was supposed to be, what our country is supposed to be theoretically, should have been. But we have no clue now. And I wear the black armband because of that. I should dig it out and wear that. And I should put a patch of America's, put America patch on there, the United States America flag, with a black strip all over it, or just across it. And tell people this is my mourning flag because I'm mourning a country who has lost its mind, its soul, and its purpose. It's lost its way. It allowed extremists and terrorists to tear apart our Constitution, our democracy, our way of life, because some agitators got screwed over by some damn con man. But they believe in them, and they believe our America should be one way or another, and the politicians followed suit. Then again, we probably already had that growing and festering. We just never been able to get rid of it. And I don't know if we're ever going to be getting rid of the damn thing or not. Our country has a long way to go. Our country has to grow. But what it's mutating into, I don't like it. I don't have to like it. And I don't have to salute it either. I'll salute the spirits. I'll salute the gravestones because they had more of an idea. I'll salute the veterans who are shaking their heads in disgust at everything. I'll put my hand to the heart and swear to the America of old, but the problem is, whatever romanticism we had back then, it was also just fucked up as well. Until we get our heads straight, until our country becomes something of, not of a mutated nightmare that we're looking at right now, and blind to it, I'm not celebrating. I'm not saluting. And I'll be worse than what our athlete did. I'll turn the back again. Because my First Amendment rights, if they haven't been taken away, guarantees me that much. But sure as hell doesn't protect me from the damn backlash which I'm expecting. And hoping for.